Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about how you can prepare for a CSGO operation that hopefully is going to be upcoming in the next month or two. Now the first section we got to talk about is getting rid of your current items or getting the most value you can out of them. While every item is going to drop usually in some sense, there's definitely some areas that are more hard hit than others. The first being past major items. These are some of the most liquid items in the game and therefore they go down pretty significantly in price. I want you to take for instance this Mirage souvenir package from Antwerp 2022. Now the price of this is still relatively similar to what you could have bought it at months ago, and therefore it's going to be in a very bad situation because it's most likely going to drop down below that base price. The fact that it has kept this price point for so long means that the demand for this item is really not very high above this $3 price point, and therefore it's going to be one of the first items to drop down pretty significantly, and it probably will recover decently well because it did have that $3 base price point, but it definitely has the potential to just move on and keep dropping lower, kind of like we saw with RMR capsules. And speaking of RMR capsules, that's the next thing, is major capsules are going to be a very big impacted area. Obviously we saw with RMR back with Operation Riptide that this was, in my opinion, the start of the reason why we saw RMR actually fail as an investment. Obviously there was many things wrong with it, but this was really the end of the hype where people were really liquidating off a lot of these. As you can see on the graph here, it did bounce back right afterwards, but that was very short-lived, and I think that was because people wanted this investment to succeed, so they were buying up mass amounts of it. The biggest suggestion I have for major items is either sell beforehand or hold on till afterwards. The price point is going to vary significantly during the operation, and it's most likely going to be at a lower price point than what you could have sold at preemptively, but if you want to just hold on to your items throughout the entire operation and sell afterwards or just keep on holding, you're probably not going to be in a terrible situation most likely. The second thing I gotta talk about is cases. Since that's now the most invested area in CSGO, cases have really become the dominant factor when we talk about CSGO investing, and there's a lot of cases and there's a lot of range of cases. I've got three specific cases that I want to mention, and they're all at different price points. First is the breakout case. Now obviously everyone knows the breakout case, and pretty much every case goes down throughout the entirety of the operation, especially after we see that first day drop. The biggest thing I want to point out with the breakout graph here is that it stays low. It does not instantly recover. I don't think this is going to be the case when we talk about the next upcoming operation, because the liquidity of the breakout case is extremely different now than it was during Operation Riptide. Looking at this picture here, you can see that the volume or the amount that was selling day by day on the Steam market during Operation Riptide and before it and roughly after it was around 7,000 to 10,000. In this picture it's 7,400, that's a couple days before, but the thing is now the Operation Breakout case is currently selling at a volume of around 4,500, which is extremely low when you compare it to last year, about a year ago exactly. It was selling for a roughly double that, but that means that the recovery of the Operation Breakout case is most likely going to be significantly faster because there's not as many listed on the market, there's not as many of them out there that are going to be instantly sold, and definitely the price is going to decrease, but I think we're going to see a little bit quicker of a recovery. But I want you to note that that is my personal opinion, and the next point I'm going to go over is the Operation Phoenix case, because it's kind of like the juxtaposition to that, because you can see here with the Phoenix case that the volume is 4,500 roughly, and the price point still did go down for a significant amount of time. So I want you to just kind of take what I say and understand why I'm saying it, but don't necessarily believe it just because I said it. That's kind of my goal with showing you the Phoenix case graph here, is that the volume was lower, but this is also a different case. You do have to take that into consideration, but just note that there was definitely cases with a lower amount of quantity that did the same exact thing as the breakout case. And then the last one I gotta mention here is the active duty cases. Active duty cases are like a ticking time bomb during an operation. They are a terrible thing to hold, and you can see that here with the clutch case graph. Clutch case went down 50% during Operation Riptide, and all of the other active duty cases during that time that held a value followed a pretty similar pattern. And I bring this up not to scare you into selling off all of your active duty cases beforehand, but just to let you know that the price is almost guaranteed to decrease for some specific cases. Now it could be different in this scenario with this upcoming operation, but I don't really see a reason why it should be. We saw the same thing with Operation Riptide, where the clutch case was a very high demand case, and yet it still went down almost 50%. Now I'm not saying all active duty cases are going to go down 50%, but the demand for them to be opened is significantly lower since people can spend their money on opening up, one, the brand new case, and two, spending their money on operation stars. Therefore, the total amount of cases may be going up in unboxing numbers, but when you take into account that there's more players, meaning there's more active duty drops, meaning there's more cases listed on the market, it doesn't balance out well, and I think we're going to get more quantity listed on the market and more people trying to sell than there is to unbox at that point. The third thing I want to hit on is liquids / Playskins. Now, there's definitely a lot of definitions out there, but the thing is, I want to point out here is that it's not going to be equal per every skin. If you have a skin that's very unique, you're probably not going to be really affected by this at all, unless you've got a couple people that are trying to sell off instantly to that highest buy order. You're probably not going to have a major impact happen to you, or you might have a very quick recovery. As you can see here with the Op Asimov, the recovery for this item was extremely quick. In my opinion, the recovery from the overall operation halfway through October, you can kind of see the line I drew in there, I would say that at that point the skin is recovered in price. But if we head on over to the AK red line, you can see here that the recovery line that I put in is significantly different. It's significantly down the graph, and it took a much longer time to recover than the Op Asimov did. And then the last thing I want to talk about in the preparation for a brand new CSGO operation is buying into some items. We talked about selling for the first 3/4 of this video. Now it's talking about buying, because buying is a very important opportunity. We're not going to be talking about buying on the night of. I have a video talking about that, and it's talking about what you should do when an actual operation hits, and I highly suggest you check that out. But today we're going to be focusing in on what you should be buying beforehand, and this is very important because there's a ton of profit to be made. It's something that I've alluded to in a couple other videos, but it's something that if you're looking to buy right now, it's probably going to be more beneficial than buying in a couple months when the hype starts to pick up around this item. And I'm talking about trade up fillers, especially the mil-spec ones. These have a lot of potential, especially the ones that aren't as popular, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. This is the acid fade graph, probably the most popular trade up filler in my opinion, because it comes in a pretty low float almost always, and yet it holds a decently low price point. You can see here that the price point ranges significantly, but it's never really above $2, and usually that's not a terrible price for mil-spec fillers. But if you want to come over here to the anodized navy or pretty much any other mil-spec filler, you're going to be seeing that the price point usually sits significantly lower, and therefore your profit percentage is going to be higher most likely, considering that these skins usually end up in a somewhat close price point. Obviously the acid fade will always be a little bit more expensive because it's a little bit more desirable, but there's a ton of profit to be made with these other fillers in my opinion. You can see here that the anodized navy goes from about 80 cents to $1.50 on peak. Now I probably would have sold at around $1.20 because a 50% price point on a flip is absolutely great and something to not be overlooked. But that is really all I have for today, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.